it's a great show. Part of me wonders if it's by the same people that wrote Letterkenny, because a lot of the humor seems very similar.
That seems kind of racist, like all Canadians are the same.
But like down to the writing style and like just the cinematography, like it seems like people that were involved in that show. Like there's too many. I would look it up, but it would probably glitch out the audio, and then I would have to spend like 10 extra minutes syncing the audio for this episode. So,
especially just to be wrong.
Oh.
We'll update you next episode.
Yeah, look for a cut-in at this point of me reminding everyone that I'm right.
We are the champions, my friends.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Welcome to RNC Watch TV.
I totally feel like that I should have thought through that intro more. It's too late for that now.
So Halloween.
Yeah.
Rob will put the pics and vids on the screen, but this year we went. Everybody said we were pirates, and every time I corrected them, we are pirates, yes, but specifically we are Steed Bonnet and Blackbeard, gay lovers in Our Flag Means Death.
I thought it was a badass idea, and I thought your costume looked especially badass, which
we both killed it.
Which I think everyone's going to agree that yours looked far more badass, based on the images that they should be seeing now or around this point. Don't exactly know when they're going to be cut in. But
we were talking about it, and I was like, we're at the store. I had a horrible headache, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this, but you know what? We're gonna go to Spirit Halloween as a test run of how I feel about being outside of my pajamas in our home. And we were talking, and I was like, well, I don't really need to buy like clothing because I have a leather jacket and fake leather pants already and black leather combat boots. And I was like, and you were like, I don't have any of that.
I've lived a much more boring of a life. That's not grammatically correct somehow. Anyway.
Well, I think black leather or leather-ish pants on a woman is a very different look than black leather or leather-ish pants on a man.
Yeah, and I don't think I could pull it off on a daily basis. It's just not my style. Whereas like on you, it looks awesome. On me, I don't know what it would convey. Just something's not right with him mentally.
I think you could pull it off aesthetically. I think you would literally pull it off temperature-wise because you're always hot. And leather is quite hot. I mean, yes, but also.
Yes, no, I would be in excruciating pain because I am so happy that it's going to be like 20 degrees here next week. Like I hate warmth. I love cold. Anyway.
Yucky. Any hoodle. So we finished Our Flag Means Death like that day, I want to say. We went out Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or the night before.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday night. We did not know that was the finale, but oh my gosh, did it deliver.
It was solid.
We were rolling the whole time. Like, it was so funny. It was so good. Yeah, twists and turns. Spoilers. I thought they handled Izzy's death really well.
Yeah, that part was a huge downer. I was sad to see him go, but they handled it exceptionally well.
Yeah. I wish my memory were better, but there were so many really, really funny moments.
I think my favorite thing about that episode was you saw major like shifts with who was allied and who wasn't. Yeah. And like the people that ended up like chilling out together at the end of the episode versus going in. There was something kind of like wholesome and also hilarious about it. Like, it was really fun to see how things ended. which I'm not going to go into any spoilers partially. Well, you can, but I don't remember all of them. I remember seeing Spanish Jackie in a certain place and being like, that's kind of hilarious that they're all like friends now.
Yeah, and the Pirate Queen, like I love how she got her wish and they finally teamed up. The part where the Pirate Queen and Steed are like fighting, and then when Blackbeard and the Pirate Queen and Steed are all done having, they're sitting there having fought, and the Pirate Queen and Blackbeard are like, oh yeah, like great move. And then Steed's like, did you see me? Or when did he get the compliment and he was like, oh, like what do you like about
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember where that came from. I know what you're talking about.
He's like, you're a good pirate. And he's like, oh really, what do you like about my piracy?
Like specifically, it's like, dude, just take a compliment.
Oh, that was so funny.
But it was so on brand for his character too. Like,
Yeah,
it didn't feel forced. It just felt like that's normal, kind of like, I'm kind of embarrassed for you, but also it's a hilarious thing that
totally
Steed normally delivers.
The Swede wearing a belly shirt. Did you notice that?
No.
Yeah, like his like transformation into like pirate boy toy, like himbo.
Oh yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, there were so many. Like, we need to go back and rewatch it. I feel like there's stuff we probably missed.
Yeah, he reminds me of this like Instagram thing that I saw a long time ago, but just came back in rotation today. Where it was like, my favorite coupling is the like powerful, intense woman and total himbo man pairing, where he's too dumb to be intimidated by her, but has had enough daily respect women juice to like admire and advocate for all of her power and accomplishments. I'm butchering that, but yeah,
I know the dynamic you mean.
yeah, that Spanish Jackie and the Swede reminds me of that little post.
Yeah. So much good stuff in that episode. And the thing that terrifies me though is I did not realize that it was not renewed until you told me that
It has
earlier.
not yet been. It still may be.
And so like that, I'm hoping they didn't foresee it not coming back, or just trying to fit in every reference and thing that they had left in them. But
listen, the network formerly known as HBO.
they're HBO.
I will burn your headquarters to the fucking ground.
We're gonna have to cut that right before you.
I mean it.
Yeah, then why are you making me find more sound effects and crap to edit out your threats of violence? I'm saying this now because this is the part that's gonna have to come after I edit out your explicit threats of violence against a corporation.
Promises of violence. Any hoodle. Yeah. Okay. Before we move on, my favorite part, the part where I just freaking lost it, was when they enter Spanish Jackie's. I forgot, like part of the entourage comes into Spanish Jackie. There are all these English soldiers drinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of them. And then they all start dying from the poison that
That was
Jackie's
when
been
Steed
giving
came
them.
in.
Yeah.
I think it was Steed, Blackbeard, and the Pirate Queen.
Yes.
That's when they showed up.
It was definitely Steed, because Steed was like, oh, there's certainly a lot of them. And then they started dying. I was like, oh my gosh.
And they had just gone through a ton of other soldiers and were exhausted.
Right.
And then, yeah, they just all start. Yeah, that was good.
So good. Yeah. So the other thing we watched was Mr. Chow. Was that the name of it? I mean, it definitely had the words Mr. Chow in it.
It had Mr. I feel like there was something else.
I think, yeah, maybe like Meet Mr. Chow or something. It's on Max, and it was really good. I really liked it. I mean, maybe the last 15 minutes are like would change my whole opinion about it. I don't know, but
yeah,
I
we
kind of
got
doubt
everything but like the last 15 of it.
If it's really problematic in the last 14 minutes, don't come at me. 'Cause I can't co-sign that.
Yeah,
but,
know that we have not seen the very last part of it.
No, I'm like kind of weirdly obsessed with AIDS. Not like obsessed with, but I definitely read How to Survive a Plague during pandemic. And I just remember it was like such a deal in the 90s when I was a kid. And, you know, I had a lot of feelings about sex growing up evangelical. I still do. And just the way it was like so stigmatized and so frightening. And it's just the meaning it seemed to hold was always really interesting to me. I remember like in the 90s, like late 90s, early aughts, there was like the down low man and how, you know, all the women had to be afraid that their man was secretly cheating on them with men and that they would get HIV from that and just wild stuff. And it's like, so frustrating. But yeah, it was really interesting. And I follow like, I think it's called the AIDS Project or the AIDS Memorial. There's probably more than one, but it's like a Facebook account and an Instagram account. And it's just photos of vast majority men, but some women who died of AIDS and captions written by their loved ones, just talking about who they were and their last, you know, months and years and days. And
some heartbreaking stuff.
It's all uniformly heartbreaking. But I thought it was really cool that, I guess this is a spoiler, I don't know. But anyway, Mr. Chow's second wife died of AIDS. And her sister talked about how brave, I think it was her sister, someone talked about how brave she was for, or the family was for, it was in her obituary in the New York Times that she had died of AIDS. And this is like late 80s, I want to say.
Yeah.
Late 80s, mid 80s. It was definitely in the 80s. And she said she thought it was the first time a woman had cause of death as AIDS in her obituary in the New York Times.
That's insane.
Because there's so much stigma, you know, for the family, and, you know, the family, it's embarrassing for the family, or, you know, for some families, they found it embarrassing, but it's so important that, you know, people know this is not, especially early on, this is not just a disease that affects gay men. This is, you know, anybody can get it and die. So that was really cool. And it was a cool, like, meditation on racism and classism. I thought the parts about how people of color could feel welcome there, but only people of color of a certain class, obviously. But how racism was such that even as talented and rich as these people were, because they were people of color, they weren't welcome in other fancy restaurants. So Mr. Chow's was like an anomaly in that. And just like, it's interesting how Mr. Chow marketed his restaurant, and how he traded free meals for artwork.
That part was especially cool thinking about, and seeing all the examples of just like the museum's worth of like modern art that he has because of it.
Totally. So he got all these portraits done of himself, and the place is filled with beautiful art, and the artists are there because they want their free meals, and then the models are there. I don't know if they got free meals or what, but his wife, I think, was a model, so she had a bunch of model friends, and so, you know, people would come, everyday people who just had money would come to the restaurant because they want to have dinner with models and artists, and, you know, the marketing was excellent. And yeah, I don't know, I found it a fun, like, Saturday afternoon thing to watch.
Yeah, and it was also kind of the other part that I remember of it was like him talking about having the security cameras installed so like he could watch, like, especially when he got depressed, like he wouldn't even go down, he would just watch it from afar using like his like periscope style camera setup, which was interesting and also really kind of sad, especially when it went into the part about his depression for like an extended period. But yeah, it was a really interesting documentary for sure.
What else have we been watching?
I don't know if we have anything over the last week that really stands out. I mean, we've been watching the history series.
Okay, so what had happened was we have been watching season 1 of I always forget the name.
Gilded Age?
The Gilded Age.
Yes.
For some reason, The Gilded Age, I just, that in my mind, never the twain shall meet. But anyway, so we're watching it and I'm like, I'll point things out that are like true to life, historically. And I, because I don't want you to miss them. And then I was like, oh, we should watch The Men Who Built America because it'll give you a lot of context about this period of time, like what else is happening. And so we started to watch that and it was like pretty annoying. Like I'd already seen it all. So that it's extremely repetitive. It's just like, it's very like reality show. And then it's like coming up, here's what is going to happen. And then it'll like go to commercial.
They go through so many recaps. Like,
and then
they
it's like,
repeat
yeah.
it's like they'll go for a couple minutes, then jump back 2 after the commercial break, then go another 3, then jump back. Like, it's like they're constantly backtracking and retelling parts of the episode because it was clear, like, obviously, like, you can tell where it went to commercial break. So they were trying to maximize, like, they didn't want to do a ton of work, but they still wanted to get a show out.
Yeah, it was very much like the exact same stock footage, exact same words. Like, oh man, it was frustrating. I was literally starting to like fast forward every time it would come back from commercial break, like 3 to 5 minutes just to get the recap out of the way.
Interesting content though, and well done at points. Like,
it was definitely interesting content. It was definitely good context. The other two problems I had with it, one was it was pretty sympathetic to these. I mean, if you couldn't tell from the title, The Men Who Built America or Made America, I forget. Anyway, it was very like simplified in such a way as to be flattering to these men. And even still, they still came across like not the best people, but just if you know anything more about the situation, you're leaving a lot out.
Yeah, they didn't paint them in nearly as dark of a light as would be painfully historically accurate, I guess.
Then the other thing is they would cut in with modern day entrepreneurs, like talking about the situation or making analogies to the present day. And I gotta say, like, in almost all cases, it not only didn't add, it like took away from. I was like, what you're saying is either wrong or inane. And sometimes
it
both.
Did not add.
It was
like, oh, great. Now we get to hear from this person who, especially many of them over the last couple of years, have had tons upon tons of scandals and media snafus and such.
Yeah, I mean, Trump was one of the people, if that tells you anything.
Yeah. Like some of the guests haven't, depending on, well, I don't know. It was kind of, to me, it came off as cringe at points.
It was hella cringe. And it's also like if you're trying to do like hagiographies of these entrepreneurs, it would seem like your idea would be like entrepreneurship is good and like these are great men who we should be glad existed. It would seem to take away from your point to that interview what you are seeming to posit as the modern day equivalent who don't make any sense and or Or just saying things that are like extremely obvious. Any hoodle. But so we were watching that, and then we're like, okay, we've had enough of this. Let's just go back to the Gilded Age. So we are so pumped. Tonight we are going to be watching episode 1, season 2, The Gilded Age, even gildeder. And
yes,
then we're also going to be watching season 2, episode 1 of Shoresy.
Yeah, because it came back, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, that came back on Friday, we think. So super excited about that. And yeah, anyway, that's about all I have to say about television right now. How about you?
That's it.
I'm super excited. It's cuffing season. We're entering cuffing season and TV coming back season.
Heck
and
yeah.
I got my boyfriend, and we're about to have our teeves, and I'm very happy. It helps to make up for the fact that I'm going to be cold.
Yeah. I'm sorry for my comfort. All right. Well, we will be back next week. Until then, have a good one.
Bye.